Agnes Grey, by Anne Bronte. Chapter 6. The Parsonage Again. For a few months I remained peaceably at home, in the quiet enjoyment of liberty and rest, and genuine friendship, from all of which I had fasted so long, and in the earnest prosecution of my studies, to recover what I had lost during my stay at Wellwood House, and to lay in new stores for future use. My father's health was still very infirm, but not materially worse than when I last saw him, and I was glad I had it in my power to cheer him by my return, and to amuse him with singing his favourite songs. No one triumphed over my failure, or said I had better have taken his or her advice and quietly stayed at home. All were glad to have me back again, and lavished more kindness than ever upon me, to make up for the sufferings I had undergone. But not one would touch a shilling of what I had so cheerfully earned and so carefully saved, in the hope of sharing it with them. By dint of pinching here and scraping there, our debts were already nearly paid. Mary had had good success with her drawings, but our father had insisted upon her, likewise, keeping all the produce of her industry to herself. All we could spare from the supply of our humble wardrobe and our little casual expenses, he directed us to put into the savings bank, saying, we knew not how soon we might be dependent on that alone for support, for he felt he had not long to be with us, and what would become of our mother and us when he was gone God only knew. Dear papa, if he had troubled himself less about the afflictions that threatened us in case of his death, I am convinced that dreaded event would not have taken place so soon. My mother would never suffer him to ponder on the subject if she could help it. "Oh, Richard!" exclaimed she on one occasion, "if you would but dismiss such gloomy subjects from your mind, you would live as long as any of us. At least you would live to see the girls married, and yourself a happy grandfather, with a canty old dame for your companion." My mother laughed, and so did my father, but his laugh soon perished in a dreary sigh. "They married! Poor penniless things," said he. "Who will take them, I wonder?" "Why, nobody shall that isn't thankful for them. Wasn't I penniless when you took me? And you pretended, at least, to be vastly pleased with your acquisition. But it's no matter whether they get married or not. We can devise 1,000 honest ways of making a livelihood. And I wonder, Richard, you can think of bothering your head about our poverty in case of your death, as if that would be anything compared with the calamity of losing you. An affliction that you well know would swallow up all others, and which you ought to do your utmost to preserve us from, and there is nothing like a cheerful mind for keeping the body in health." "I know, Alice, it is wrong to keep repining as I do, but I cannot help it. You must bear with me." "I won't bear with you, if I can alter you," replied my mother. But the harshness of her words was undone by the earnest affection of her tone and pleasant smile. That made my father smile again, less sadly and less transiently than was his wont. "Mamma," said I, as soon as I could find an opportunity of speaking with her alone, "my money is but little, and cannot last long. If I could increase it, it would lessen papa's anxiety, on one subject at least. I cannot draw like Mary, and so the best thing I could do would be to look out for another situation." "And so you would actually try again, Agnes?" "Decidedly I would." "Why, my dear, I should have thought you had had enough of it." "I know," said I, "everybody is not like Mr. and Mrs. Bloomfield." "Some are worse," interrupted my mother. "But not many, I think," replied I, "and I'm sure all children are not like theirs, for I and Mary were not. We always did as you bid us, didn't we?" "Generally, but then I did not spoil you, and you were not perfect angels after all. Mary had a fund of quiet obstinacy, and you were somewhat faulty in regard to temper, but you were very good children on the whole." "I know I was sulky sometimes, and I should have been glad to see these children sulky sometimes too, for then I could have understood them, but they never were, for they could not be offended, nor hurt, nor ashamed. They could not be unhappy in any way, except when they were in a passion. Well, if they could not, it was not their fault. You cannot expect stone to be as pliable as clay." "No, but still it is very unpleasant to live with such unimpressible, incomprehensible creatures. You cannot love them, and if you could, your love would be utterly thrown away. They could neither return it, nor value, nor understand it. But, however, even if I should stumble on such a family again, which is quite unlikely, I have all this experience to begin with, and I should manage better another time, and the end and aim of this preamble is, let me try again. Well, my girl, you are not easily discouraged, I see. I am glad of that. But let me tell you, you are a good deal paler and thinner than when you first left home, and we cannot have you undermining your health to hoard up money, either for yourself or others. Mary tells me I am changed too, and I don't much wonder at it, for I was in a constant state of agitation and anxiety all day long, but next time I am determined to take things coolly.